These hard things in life, I think, to me, I see them as the most beautiful things. And without those things, neither of us would be sitting here where we are right now. Like the kind of like hardest things become the seeds of our greatest power. I truly believe that.
I think all those hard moments were the best moments of my life to put me on track of the life I live right now. So people are like, oh, I'm so sad that happened to you. And like, don't be sad. It's the best thing that happened to me. Although it was painful and not fun in the moment. But for me, it was an awakening to choose a different mindset and really work on my heart healing and connect with my soul. What's my life purpose and what life do I want to live? What's the direction I want to take? So those hard moments are just moments for an opportunity to do things differently.
Welcome to the Firestarter Podcast. I'm Willa Kammerer. Today we are talking about how the moments in life that nearly break us also build us. And to be having this conversation, I'm joined by Esther Wildenberg, my friend, and just an amazing transformational leader in person, and just amazing person and energy to be around. So thank you so much for joining me here today,
I'm
Esther.
so honored to be here.
Well, share us a little bit, walk us through a little bit of your story, who you are, how we got here, and to be having this conversation today.
That is going to be a long podcast.
Check the clock. All right, see you in 2 days.
Wow. And there has been very many pivotal moments in my life. And pivotal moments are not always necessarily the direction we think it's gonna go. So as a child, I was very insecure, low self-esteem. I didn't talk. I was always hiding. I became a great observer and listener. And over time, I learned the hard way that that's not gonna take me anywhere in life. And so I had some rude awakenings, not so fun experiences like sexual abuse, all that. But then I had a near-death experience after an accident, hospital for a long time, months, and recovery of 3 years, no work, no social life. And then it took me 8 years to totally be healthy again. And so sometimes the hard things in life, and I think most of the time, if you choose to, it's a choice, you will learn a big lesson and you can choose a different direction in your life. So there have been also moments that it actually went the opposite direction. I think when we talk about pivot and transformation, you have to be very intentional about the direction you want to take this. It's like a fork in the road. You can choose which path you're going to take.
Yeah. So how, that's, just like incredible, so glad that you are okay, and incredible to live through that. Something that I don't share, haven't shared that much publicly. I think I shared it with you the other day is I was in a really bad snowboarding accident. It wasn't near death, but in college, but I did break my back. I was in the hospital, flat on my back for a couple of weeks. And, I think these moments in life, you obviously don't wish them on yourself. You never know when they're going to come, but it's impossible for them not to kind of create this reframe and this pivot moment, as you said. So would love, kind of like based on that experience, what did that open up for you? How did that kind of give you different eyes looking at life?
I think all those hard moments were the best moments of my life to put me on track of the life I live right now. So people are like, oh, I'm so sad that happened to you. And like, don't be sad. It's the best thing that happened to me. Although it was painful and not fun in the moment. But for me, it was an awakening to choose a different mindset and really work on my heart healing and, connect with my soul. What's my life purpose and what life do I want to live? What's the direction I want to take? So those hard moments are just moments for an opportunity to do things differently. And some people choose to check out and, they just leave the planet. And other people say, I'm going to just choose a different direction and I'm going to step full in my power. And I'm going to live life on my terms and I'm going to impact humanity in a positive way. And it's a choice. It's not like that things happen and then, automatically you're going to be a better human being or you're on track. And I've seen it in my rehab. There were people there that's, I cannot do this and I'd rather die and it's painful and like, yeah, that's a choice. I was like, no, I'm gonna get out of this wheelchair. I'm gonna be walking, running, playing sports. I'm gonna back out of this, whatever it takes. And it's a mindset and a choice. And I think we don't talk enough about that because everybody thinks, well, things happen and your life changed, and so you're so lucky, and it's nothing to do with luck. It's a choice.
Yeah. I love that. And, I'm with you, these hard things in life. I think to me, I see them as the most beautiful things. And without those things, neither of us would be sitting
Yeah,
here where
right.
we are right now. Like the kind of like hardest things become the seeds of our greatest power. I truly believe that. But I also believe with you that not everyone kind of internalizes, interprets, they don't integrate these hard moments into their story in the same way. They become these things that become, fixation points, limitations. What do you see as, the difference between those people who transmute them, alchemize those hard times in life into superpowers and into, everything, the better life, on the horizon, or, their life, kind of like
That
turns
sucks.
negative from
Yeah.
that point?
So what I've seen it a lot, is that either they become paralyzed and stuck and become victims of their story. And that is a choice. And that's why I chose the victory path. Like, how can I let this work for me? How can my pain become my story? And how can I impact other people's life to really awaken that you don't need to wait for a hard moment in your life. You don't need to wait for divorce or bankruptcy or cancer or being an empty nester to actually start living the life you want to live. And so you will face hard times. They're just little obstacles for an opportunity to choose things differently. And whatever that means, can be a relationship, can be business, can be your spiritual path, whatever you're going to choose. And the difference is, I think it's a choice. It comes back to, of honest reflection. People ask, why is this happening to me? It's happening for a reason, but you have to fuel that reason and be very transparent and honest with yourself. And then again, it's a choice. And I've seen a lot of people just being the victim and just become miserable and angry about life and resentful. Why is this happening to me? And then other people say, this happened to me for a reason. It made me stronger. I chose a spiritual path. I chose to heal my heart. I chose to build my business instead of having a job. I chose to step out of this relationship because it just didn't work. And that is the difference. And I don't think I'm so happy you brought this up, because everybody else on stage talks about, you have to step into your power. Yeah, what does that actually mean? Like,
Yeah.
if people don't know how to do that, that's why I do retreats and masterminds. And it's mostly women, because there's still this pressure of, you have to be a mom and you cannot do it all. And I'm a believer you can do it all. You just have to change your story and step into the new identity that's gonna serve your new path and your new, life is short. So take some turns somewhere and figure something cool out that's gonna fuel you. Like,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned, your retreats, your mastermind, and also, that I've heard you, say that you don't need to have these kind of like very dramatic life moments, whether it's, near death experience, divorce, any of it, breaking your back, to have these,
Right.
like life reframes. So, in your work with people, how do you kind of go about, have you seen people kind of go that journey from kind of feeling the kind of like victimhood around it into stepping into having it more part of their power story? And if so, how do you plant those seeds and kind of help people through that transformation? I would love to hear more, about that work.
It mostly happens in my retreats. So I have different levels of retreats depending on where people are in their life. It's alignment or transformation, leadership, or leader balancing your life at a stage where you're making multiple 6, 7, 8 figures, and now it becomes more about not the struggle and the hustle and the grind, but more like, how can I incorporate all important parts of my life? So I've seen people in 3 days totally transform in my retreats, coming in like, I'm broke, I'm unhappy, they're overweight, they're just like, and in 3 days they're this. And I start always with soul work. Like, you have to really connect with your soul. Like, why are you here? What are you passionate about? If you had like 5 million in your bank account, what would you be doing? What fuels you? What are you passionate about? Is it children? Is it dogs? Is it business? Is it money? Like, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. But you have to connect with that. And then I do heart healing is a massive part of it. You have to heal your heart if you really want to show your true self to the world. And when you're at your true self, you can attract anything you want in this lifetime. The partner you're looking for, the business, the money you want to attract, the travel, whatever is on your, little vision board. And then I do mindset. Now, how do you put that into action and keep your mind into it with your determination and no distractions? And then you see relationships unfold, and then you see business grow. So I do the whole alignment from soul, heart, mind. And they come in like, I want to make more money. That's just a side effect of being aligned and doing the things you love, and then money will come. If you're shining like like I love to talk about charisma because it's so important. It's something you can learn when you step into your power and heal yourself. You're automatically gonna shine, and people are attracted to your energy. People buy you for your energy and who you are, and they don't care about your product or service until they totally want to just be in your orbit.
Right. About that connection first.
Yeah.
I think one of the really, kind of like unique and powerful things, and what I love about you, and, we've had the privilege to hang out, we both have boys, their birthdays are like a year and a day apart, which I just love.
Yes.
Just like lots of points of connection there. But I think one of the really unique things about you is, here we're talking about kind of like soul level transformation, but you're also like a powerful mind when it comes to, business and operations and, helping, kind of like businesses work through, kind of like stuck points to really, tap into that next level of scale. Can you speak a little bit to that and kind of like how it all also connects?
I became very passionate about helping, especially women-owned business, to turn around their businesses in 90 days. They're stuck and there is a block they cannot see. And it's really not that hard. But when you're always in the hustle and the grind, and a lot of women feel lonely in business, right? Who is my tribe? Who can I talk to? Especially the higher up you go on the ladder, the circle gets smaller. And it doesn't necessarily need to be true, because we are surrounded by amazing people. Like, as you and I know, we have a lot of amazing people we can call and talk to and say, like, this is happening in my business. So I became passionate. It doesn't need to take a year or 5 years if you're really focused, and you just have to get aligned in your business again. I mean, when you lose your alignment, things don't flow, and then you're stuck. And it's the same in your relationship. It's no difference. I created my own program for companies and businesses to really in 90 days. They're just, a great story of one of my clients in Southern California in Orange County, staffing company, totally stuck. She did 3 million. In 2024, she called me March 2025, says, Esther, I need you. I'm freaking damn stuck. And I said, okay, let's do this 90-day contract, clean up the company. I fired a few people for her. I was reading the energy, said, you have to get aligned, you have to get grounded. We're going to do everything, and the whole thing. I went through the whole 90 days, and she ended doing 8.9 million in 2025. And she says, I could have never done this if you didn't help me to really get aligned and grounded and focused and let go of the control and the scarcity and all that stuff, and then the practical things, that's easy to fix, but you need to do the work. I told her, this is, it's not about the money. You have to just get aligned. You have to be clear what you want, and then find the right people on the team, cut some things out, and go on your path where you want to go. And she crushed it. So that's what I love doing. So I do it in businesses in 90 days, and my retreats I do it in 3 days. And people away from their business, away from their family, no distractions, just sitting there with yourself and actually slow down in silence and solitude and feel, yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm hearing themes of, kind of like unstuckness, alignment, and also kind of, I think that sometimes we can think like this doing the work, that it has to be this like long and painful thing. I think what you're saying here is, like especially, if you could just kind of snap back into that alignment is the foundation for everything, and then that it doesn't have to be so long and so hard and so
doesn't need to be hard.
Just kind of tapping back into, who you are. I would love, I'd like to try to make things, kind of like actionable, a little like, how, for our listeners here, do you have any exercise or kind of like reflection question, what could you offer them to kind of like,
I have a ton of questions.
Sure, but to kind of like, start accessing, how can I kind of move more closely into that alignment and power?
When there were women-owned business, I was asked, why did you start this business? Why were you so passionate about starting this? Go back to the moment that you felt that like, that energy, this is what I want to do, and go back to that moment. And it only happens when you meditate, you're silent, go on a hike somewhere by yourself and start journaling and writing again. Like, what is it that fuels you? And maybe your purpose changed, because life is, comes in cycles. So maybe where you started, it's not, but it's okay to change direction. You just have to step into a new story and bring yourself with it. Another question is, I also ask, what is your number one block? Mm-hmm. Where do you feel you're stuck, and where do you think you're stuck? And they're always two different things. Because I don't care where you think you're stuck. I want to know where you feel you're stuck, because that's way more powerful. And I also them like, we always talk about what's your number one challenge, but I also like them, what's your number one opportunity? Mm-hmm. And then I ask really practical questions like, when was the last time you took time for yourself? what is your daily routine? Do you have time for yourself? Do you make time for yourself? So I help them with creating a morning routine when everybody's still sleeping, your kids or whatever. What is the time you can take care of yourself? And when is the last time you went on a trip by yourself, a girls trip, a retreat?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to step out of your environment to get connected. And I ask some really challenging questions like, what is the pain you're feeling that you didn't heal yet?
Mm.
And where is that showing up in your relationship, in your business?
Yeah. Deep stuff, Esther. Deep stuff.
Yeah, we have to go deep. Otherwise, there's no change happening.
Exactly. How, I know we were talking about how, like you don't have to go through one of those kind of like life altering,
Impactful
shattering
events,
moments,
right.
Is there a way that you kind of help people kind of step back from their lives and kind of like see a little bit of like that picture and kind of being removed from kind of that day to day? I know you said, getting away can help and, for another perspective, but I'm wondering like, how do you help people kind of like understand the stakes, of these deep questions without necessarily having to go through one of those traumatic events to arrive at the doorstep of these questions?
The thing is, if you don't ask those questions, you will get an impactful event to wake you up and slow you down.
Mm.
So why you're pushing the envelope that hard on yourself instead of just stepping out of it? And women have a hard time taking time for themselves because they feel the responsibility for the family or the children or their business, their clients, their movement, the impact they're making. So there's no time. Is it you choose where you spend your time.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a lot of people come back to my retreats, because they realize when I'm in this safe environment and I step out of it, my business always grows when I go back home. My relationships are just much better. I have to do that work, but you're not going to do it by yourself. I've seen it over and over again. You're just not going to do it because your calendar will keep filling up. Like your environment is demanding your time, or you have to manage your time. And I'm very stickler to that. Like, this is my morning routine. And people say, you don't work before 10 a.m. I said, no, why would I?
Yeah. Tell us about your morning routine, because I'm a big morning routine fan as well. And so I've always been, I personally am a big believer. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first, and that has always just felt intuitive to me. Like I know I have to kind of like ground myself, center myself, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm at home. I have to kind of like have my
morning routines, like they're critical. And when I don't do it, I really don't have a good day.
Yeah.
And it impacts then the home environment and the business. So there's certain days, especially when we travel, it's harder. And I'm like, dang, like I miss my, wake up at 5 a.m. I do my meditation. Then I listen to an audiobook or podcast for engage my brain in a positive way. For sure, I avoid news, media, all, ugly things out there. I just don't want to in that energy field. I don't care about it. Like, stay away from that. Exercise when I can before Kai wakes up. And then Kai, getting him ready for school, breakfast, take him to school.
Yeah.
Then I take my dog to the beach for a beach walk. And I don't really talk to anybody. I just walk and just enjoy nature, palm trees, beach, ocean.
Yes.
And then when I have time and I make time, exercise is important to me, but sometimes I have to push it till the end of the day. And then I start working. And I don't even do calls in the morning. I do my projects. My most important things are my projects. What needs to be done? So by noon, I have the most exciting day and fulfilled day, because every call I have thereafter adds up things to in my calendar. There's more to do, tasks to do, questions, documents, another call, another meeting. It's never like, oh my gosh, like, let me take everything off your plate. So I do my calls in the afternoon, and then my emails are all the way at the end of the day. You just have to wait till I get to my emails. And then it's again time for Kai.
Yeah. I love that. I'm with you. I, have my calendar intentionally blocked in the morning, 11:30, no calls before then, because I just find if I just let people into kind of my field and engagement, before I have kind of like worked through my own thoughts in my day and kind of worked through some of the things that, are top priority for me to work on, it just scrambles, my whole day, and just, kind of everything
You're
feels
out of your energy.
topsy-turvy.
You're out of,
Yeah, exactly. Would love your, because we do both have these, 5-6-year-old boys, how has becoming a mom, and having a, a little being in the mix, just kind of like changed your life? Curious
It's
on that.
changed my life. And I don't think people really talk about that enough, how much it changed your life, because it's going to be so amazing. And, it's going to be like so wonderful. And I'm like, Why didn't you tell me that it's actually damn freaking hard to be a
Yeah.
mom? And I think it's the hardest thing I've ever done is being a mom.
Yeah.
Um, I had true identity crisis. It's also when COVID hit, like, so we had that window where there was like the lockdown and all the craziness happening in the world. I totally felt that ugly about. So it was like really hard. Like, I'm a businesswoman, I have my community, I am impacting the world, and I have this little human being that I have to keep alive. That was my number one
Yeah.
task.
Yeah.
It changed me. I think it helped me to heal some of my childhood trauma that came back up when he was born. And I thought I
Mhm.
was totally healed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do that inner work again, but on a deeper level. And it helped me to realize it's okay to be more feminine and have that feminine, loving, caring energy for my son. And I can do it all. I can take care of him. I can run my business. I still can travel. My days changed, my weeks changed, my life changed. But there's so much gold lining around it, that little human being that just wants your time and your love, and seeing him growing up through his lens, like the world and who he's becoming. It's like, it's a very unique experience. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree more on all of it. And I think, it's a lot, right? It's a lot to, here we are, we're entrepreneurs, you live in California, I live in Connecticut, we're sitting here in Arizona, our boys are back home, with their kind of nannies and care. And, we're prioritizing being here. Yet, I know that for both of us, when we arrive home, we get that hug and that smile and like
Yeah.
the light in their eyes.
But
Like,
that's how we create the resilient boys.
Yeah.
That's how they become independent.
Yeah.
It's okay, because you hear you're gone a lot from your son. It's okay. He knows that from day one.
Yeah.
That's how he is growing up.
Yeah.
But also he travels a lot with us, showing him the world.
Right.
That's how he becomes a very independent, strong boy, what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've loved this conversation, as I
Yes.
knew I would. So tell listeners of the Firestarter podcast how they can find you, learn more about your world and everything that you do, Esther.
Yes, you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn under Esther Wildenberg. And then my website is estherwildenberg.com. I keep it very simple.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Firestarter podcast. All of Esther's links will be linked in our show notes at thefirestarterpodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at Willa Kammerer. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram at Willa Kammerer. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Firestarter podcast.